Morning grade 11s. We're going to do 5.19 today. It's the first activity on the provision for bad debts. If you're still unsure about the theory, please go watch the previous video again. Right, so they want you to do the provision for bad debts account and the provision for bad debts adjustment account in the ledger and then the accounting equation. Let's first focus on the two ledger accounts. Okay, so we start with the first transaction. They say the balance on the debtors control account is 40,000 and it was decided to create a provision for bad debts of 5% of the debtors. Right, that's in 2005. Okay, so that means that in 2004 we had no provision, it was 0. And in 2005 we're going to create a provision, and the provision is going to be 40,000 Rand, 5% of 40,000 Rand, which gives me 2,000 Rand. Right, now remember what I told you. We have to look at the change. In other words, what was it and what is it now? And then you have to decide, is it good or bad for the owner? Right, so if I look at it was 0 and now I'm going to make it 2,000 Rand. So the adjustment has gone up from 0 to 2,000, and therefore the provision for bad debts adjustment will be treated as an expense because it's bad for the owner. Right, so then in my provision for bad debts adjustment account, on the debit side, I treat it as an expense on the debit side. So there I'm going to write 2005. The contra account is the provision for bad debts. I'm not going to write it out, so you can write it out. Right, and it's 2,000 Rand on the debit side. Then this contra entry would be on the credit side in the provision account. 2005, it's the provision adjustment, and it's 2,000 Rand. Right, then it's the end of the year, so I have to close it off. So this is a balance sheet account, so I have to balance this account. So the balance is 2,000 Rand. And I'm going to bring it down to the 1st of March. Balance 2,000. Right, what would happen to my account in the provision adjustment account? This account will be closed off to profit and loss because it is an expense account. 2,000. Okay, right, now we can look at 2006. What do they say about 2006? They say the balance on the debtors control account is now 60,000. The existing provision must be increased to 5% of the new balance for debtors. Right, so let's quickly first do our calculation. So now in 2006, I have to make it 5% of 60,000, and that gives me 3,000. Okay, so let's quickly just make sense of this. So what has happened now? The provision was 2,000. Now I'm going to make it 3,000, which is an upwards adjustment, which means it's bad for the owner, and therefore I'm also going to treat it as an expense. But please look at it this, guys. In the adjustment account, it's just the change between the 1 year to the other. So it's just 1,000. And I'm also going to debit 1,000 because it's gone up. And when it goes up, it's bad for the owner, and then we treat it as an expense. Right, so in the provision for bad debts adjustment account, we are again on the debit side. 2006, the contra account is provision for bad debt, and it's just the adjustment, which is 1,000. Right, so I've debited this, which means I have to credit that side. This is now 2006, and it's the provision adjustment, 1,000, and now I have to close it off. So when I close off this year, the balance becomes now 3,000, and that's what it's supposed to be because they said 5% of 60,000, which is 3,000, and the 1st of March I can bring it down. The balance is 3,000. Okay, on this one, again, I can just close it off to profit and loss because it's expense, so it gets closed off to profit and loss, 1,000. Right, let's look at the next year, 2007. They say the balance on the debtors control account is now 45,000. The existing provision for bad debts must be decreased to 5% of the new balance for debtors. Okay, so now in 2007, we have to change it so that it is 45,000 is what the debtors is. 5% of that gives me 2,250. Right. So let's quickly see what was the provision. The provision was now 3,000 Rand. Now I have to change it to 2,250, which is a downwards provision, guys. It's gone down. If it goes down, it's good for the owner, and therefore the adjustment will be seen as an income. Right. And what is the adjustment there between the two? It's a 750 Rand adjustment, but I'm going to treat it as an income. So in your adjustment account, incomes are credited. So on the credit side, in 2007, you're going to write provision for bad debts, and it's 750. It's just the adjustment, the change, and then it will be debited. It's now 2007. Provision adjustment 750. Right, now we can balance off our accounts. How do we balance this account? Normal balancing, the total is 3,000, which means the new balance is now 2,250. Bring it down. Right, and here I can just close it off, profit and loss. Okay, right, let's look at what happened in 2008. In 2008, the balance on the debtors control account is 70,000. The balance on the bad debts account is 8,000. A further debtor, I no pay, has been declared insolvent. His account of 4,000 must be written off. The existing provision for bad debts must then be changed to 5% of debtors. Right, so let's quickly see how we're going to work that out. So first of all, the debtors they give me is what I'm going to work with. So they give you the debtors is 70,000. Guys, that bad debt, the bad debt of 8,000 would already have been subtracted. It's just the further bad debts that we'll have to subtract. So it's the 70,000. And I'm also going to subtract the 4,000 from his account because he's not going to pay me. So 70,000 minus 4,000, and that gives me 66,000. And I must change my provision to 5% of the 66,000. Right, so that gives it 3,300. Okay, so where was my provision? My provision at the end of 2007 was on 2,250. I must change it to 3,300, which means, again, it's an upwards adjustment. And if it's an upwards adjustment, it's bad for the owner, and we're going to treat it as an expense. Right, and the adjusting figure is 1,050. Right, so I'm going to treat it as an expense. So in my provision for bad debts account, first of all, on the debit side, it's now 2008. Provision for bad debt, and it's 1,050, and then it comes to the credit side, provision adjustment 1,050. Right, and then I can just close off my accounts. So I balance this side and I balance that side, then it gets to 3,300, and that's what it's supposed to be, so that correlates. Balance 3,300 and balance brought down 3,300 for the 1st of March. This can simply be closed off to profit and loss. Right, grade 11. So the biggest calculation, or the biggest thing that you have to do is this. This is important, to constantly think what is happening to the adjustment. Is it going up? Is it going down? compare from the one year to the other. If it's becoming more, remember, it's bad for the owner and we treat the adjustment figure as an expense. If it goes down, that's good for the owner and we treat the adjustment figure as an income. Right, I'm not going to do the accounting equation now because the video is becoming a bit too long. But what I would like for you to do is 520. 520, only the ledger accounts. Right, only the ledger accounts. And then we will give attention to the equation tomorrow. So please do 520, only the ledger accounts. Thank you. Have a nice day.